So we paid respects earlier to the Honorable Frederick Douglass, my direct ancestor, and it's only fitting and it's only with respect that if we're gonna big up the masculine energy, we gotta big up the feminine energy. And we know that Queen Mother Harriet and Frederick Douglass were very, very good friends. Some even say may have been cousins, which means I'm related to Harriet Tubman. I ain't gonna even get into that right now.
Frederick Douglass.
Yes, sir. An ancestor of mine.
So when you say ancestor, what does that mean?
Let me break it down.
Because again, some have said you tried to claim that you are a descendant of Frederick Douglass.
Okay, so let's deal with that.
So hold on one second. Here's a statement from the family. Let me go ahead and read this, please. The family of Frederick Douglass has received numerous inquiries about Umar Johnson questioning his relationship to Frederick Douglass. There have also been questions about his legitimacy of his PhD and the handling of the donations he's received for his school that he is promoting. We can tell you with 100% certainty that he is not a descendant of Frederick Douglass.
How am I helping black boys? That's a silly ass question. How does Dr. Umar help black boys? That's a silly ass question. But because you got a blind weave in your head, I'm going to answer the question because you don't know no better. Because you got a blind weave in your head, I'm going to answer the question because you don't know no better. This is what I do for black children. I am the #1 parent advocate in America. I am the #1 certified school psychologist in America. I am the #1 doctor of clinical psychology out here on the grassroots, helping parents protect their children from medication, misdiagnosis, and unnecessary hospitalization. What do y'all think about a date with the doctor FDMG fundraiser? $100. The sisters will pay a $100 raffle. Sisters will pay $100. And if they win the raffle, they get to pick a social event anywhere in the country. It could be a concert. It could be a sporting event. It could be a festival. We're going to pick her up. I'm going to pick her up. We're going to pay for the hotel, pay for the flight. I'm going to pick her up, take her to the event. We're going to go to dinner, and we're going to drop her back off at the hotel.
Let me ask you a question, Dr. Umar. Are you totally against interracial relationships?
I am totally against it.
And Umar's not going to like me because I believe that you can date who you want to date, just don't be a coon. And, you know, we regard Frederick Douglass with high esteem, and he married a white woman at the end of the day. So I look at a man's actions more so than who he dates.
Let me respond to my brother, and I appreciate the dialogue because we still brothers even if we disagree. I want to clarify the Frederick Douglass piece. You're absolutely right. About a decade before his death as an old man, he married a white woman. But let's not forget about Queen Mother Anna Marie Douglass. Frederick Douglass had a dark-skinned, chocolate, beautiful, nappy-headed wife. So I want to make sure Anna Marie Douglass gets her due. Now, to your point that we can marry who we want and not be a coon. How is not building a family with a black woman? How can you be exempt from cooning if you do not build family with black woman?
So by your own rhetoric, it's okay if we marry a white woman as long as we marry a black woman first.
No, you should not be marrying a white woman at all.
And I believe that you exclusively date sisters, right?
Yes, and what about the wealth argument? How are you not a sellout if you're giving white people that type of wealth when they've already stolen enough from us? How could you find a white woman who could ever understand you as well as a sister?
Well, the only reason why I mention people's actions is because you yourself exclusively date black, yet you're one of the biggest scammers in our community. It's been 12 years.
Why you do me like that? Why you do me like that, bro?
Oh man, I had to do you like that, Umar. I had to. You talking a bunch of bullshit. Wait, so there's no way to be exempt from cooning if you marry a white woman, but Frederick Douglass married a white woman. Make it make sense. Yeah. Okay. Guys, and yes, Casey, I don't know why he had to say nappy-headed wife. I don't know why, but you know, dealing with Umar is child's play to me. Help me out, sisters. Black women in the chat, help me out. Help me get hip. to the black lingo. What do the sisters say? I read him. I read him. I read him. I mean, it's some kind of new phrase y'all use. Y'all help me out, sisters. Help me out. And yeah, y'all make sure to hit the like button on the way in. Likes are free after all. Throw 5 on the Cash App or the PayPal if you support the mission. Guys, also, if you want to see content that is exclusive, that is not available on YouTube, become a member of the Patreon. I also do exclusive Patreon-only live streams every Sunday. So go ahead and check out the Patreon. But y'all, let's get into the content. The Prince of Pan Scamanism, the Chief Pan Goofy, is going to try to tell us that we not indigenous. Forget our tribal status. Forget us doing our genealogy. We all from Africa. Why? Because Umar Johnson said so. Come on, y'all. Let's get into the content. I don't know why these pan goofies have a vested interest in trying to tell us what we need to identify with. It don't make no damn sense.
Every human being on the planet Earth has 256 great grandparents. How many of those 256 for you are Native Americans?
All of them.
And you know this how?
Because can't nobody prove that we came from
No. Don't tell me what nobody can prove. No.
Because my grandmother told me.
How does Nikki? So do you have the name?
I came from a country. I know a country.
The name Nakia is pretty African.
So basically, you're Native American because nobody can prove you're not.
I'm indigenous to this land. This is
but
I'm not going to make that claim. You stated that I'm working with white folks, and you can't prove
You just said you got white sympathy. You just said that.
What the f does that mean? It's white people who sympathize.
What do you mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? If you're telling me that you got a problem with Africans, but you ain't got a problem with white folks, then you're not really committed to liberation, brother.
You guys are not serious. What are you talking about? Have the same
brother
for European.
No, but I respect you, brother. We still brothers. All right.
Yeah, we still brothers. I think we just got different ideologies. So if you're talking about,
and we can respect that, and I can respect that.
Yeah, like,
but it's hard to be at peace with an ideology based on the division of African people.
See, so look, when it comes to unity, right? Like, if I could accept the fact that I'm a different African, right, or I'm a
how you different, brother?
Listen,
the white man put chains on you, so now your genetics and everything is altered.
Prince, if you're not
going to ridiculous,
you just recognize all.
Why are you giving the white man so much power?
Yo, you just recognize all these Africans with different cultural views based on your American experience.
Yes, but it ain't based on slavery because all of them was enslaved. The Haitians wasn't enslaved. The Cubans wasn't enslaved. The Jamaicans. I'm not talking about no Jamaican history based on slavery.
Apparently,
I'm talking about based on a unique culture that grew out of their experience.
So
the Freedmen ideology is based on what the white man called you, what the white man did to you, what the white man thinks of you, and ultimately what you want the white man to do for you. That's why I have a problem with your ideology.
So listen, like you just gave Africa a lot of grace when you recognized it.
He said a lot of grace. That's my mother. What you talking about? Your mother too.
You said that they're impacted by colonial oppression. Now you didn't give African Americans, Black Americans, let's say what you say, American Africans, that same grace. You're not recognizing.
What are you talking? No. I'm giving our people the same grace. I'm not giving your organization's platform the same grace.
No, you got to,
because I do not think you should be forging. I do not think you should be forging a movement. I don't think you should be forging a movement that identifies with your oppressor, your oppressor's territory, or your oppressor's ideology, and that's what you're doing. There's nothing authentic.
Say that, Umar. That's the problem. So that's the.
You're reacting to white power.
That's the.
Okay, let me ask you this last question. What are y'all doing?
You're not going to keep.
Wait, brother.
Damn, Umar just has to be in control of the conversation at all times, huh, guys? Umar just can't let nobody talk. Brother, you got to understand and understand. We all African. I mean, all right, Umar. All right, let's see if anybody else can get a word in.
But it is bullshit to me, bro. Listen. What are y'all doing to make things better? What are you doing to improve the reality for the American African family that does not involve white folks? That's voting, that's reparations. What are you doing independently, self-determination, self-reliance? What is your organization doing?
Sir, you are a fucking hypocrite because you do not do anything that does not involve white people. Umar, you pay taxes to our mostly white government, right? The IRS ain't made up of black people, is it? Hey, Umar, you're doing the school scam, and in order for your school to open, you have to get permits by the local white European power structure. So what the fuck is you talking about, Umar? You flying white airlines to go all across and do these speaking engagements. You staying at hotels owned by white conglomerates. I mean, Umar's the biggest hypocrite out there, y'all. The biggest hypocrite.
Doing separate from white folks to make things better for our people. Give me something.
Yeah. So no, I was gonna say just respectfully, like I got a little bit out of character because you kept cutting me
No, it's
off.
okay. Don't worry about that. Answer my question, brother Ernest. I'm not thin-skinned.
So you asking me a question, I'm about to give you my answer. I'm involved in a number of things. That's including advocating on fucking like political.
I want a specific, Ernest. Don't give me no general. Give me a specific project that your organization is working on that doesn't require us to beg.
Umar, you're not building anything that does not require you to beg or grovel to white folks. You're not opening up that school unless the local government permits it, inspects it, and permits it. And guess what? That local government ain't ran by black folks, is it?
From white folks. Give me one.
So how about this? You come and meet us and work with us and stuff.
No,
Because
you
a big talker. Pushing
Cut it out, I love you, bro. I love you, bro. I want to point out my central contradiction with the African-American tribal groups. And that's the Freedmen, the Pretendians, the ADOS, the phony Black Americans, all of that. I don't see nothing being done for our people that doesn't involve begging white folks.
And the Pan-Africans have not done anything for our people other than rock onks and weird Egyptian clothes on 125th Street. Stop the cap.
I just asked Brother Erm to give me one thing he doing that does not involve white people. He gave me no answer. So I got to ask you the same question, my love. What are y'all doing that don't involve waiting for white folks, working with white folks, or begging for white folks to make things better for black folks in this country?
Okay, so me personally.
And peep game, y'all, peep game. These brothers and sisters talking to Umar, they don't necessarily have the intellect to dog walk this man like I easily did. They don't necessarily have the speech and debate skills, because guess what I would say? I would say I'm not going to be held to answer to some rigorous standard that you yourself are not following. Before I say what I do for the community that doesn't involve white folks, you got to lead by telling me what you do. That's how that works. And he won't be able to give us any example.
I am against reparations. Okay. I don't believe that we need the white man to give us anything when we have our own land, and this is our land, and we can get it right here out the mud like we've been doing it, like our ancestors did it, and everything else. We had segregation. We didn't need the white man. We had a bunch of stuff, and we never had it. We was getting it before they came, and we can get it when they leave. So I'm against reparations. I really just want them to leave us the hell alone. Just leave us alone, because we have shown if you leave us alone and leave us by ourselves, we will rise. We will build the banks, we'll build the Wall Street, the jewelry stores, we'll get the oil.
And then they'll burn it down through acts of terrorism. And if you get no rectification, no reparations to repair that wrongdoing, then you're back to square one. So who is this coon-ass broad talking about we don't need no reparations?
All the cotton, the tobacco, and we'll get everything we need. So we don't need a European, a Chinese, an African, a Mexican, or nothing can to help us build what we need to build. So I'm not for reparations.
All right, guys. I'm just gonna skip forward a little bit. We came to hear Umar Johnson debate Aboriginal history and lineage. I didn't come to hear the Sambo girl talk about how we don't need reparations. Let's see if we can fast forward a little bit and find where they start talking about indigenous history.
It's gonna come up 60s before that.
Okay, but what about the kingdoms that existed where those countries are? What about the kingdoms that exist?
Nigeria.
Wait, we ain't gotta argue there.
Let me tell you something. Colonization.
They're still there. This is what I want you to do for me. Just do this. I immigrated from Africa.
When I went to experience, but
in Africa, and so it will be much more efficient to and had to fight for almost. Can you give me some names of your? What were the names of your Blackfoot ancestors since you're so Blackfoot? You can't give me a name.
Okay, y'all.
Okay, but
we
what
got
about
it.
the kingdoms that existed where those countries are? What about the kingdoms that
What were
existed?
those kingdoms? They're not putting those kingdoms on their DNA test. They're putting that country's name, and that country wasn't named.
But
that
the samples
It's about
of the people in those areas, listen, they carved up Africa. They did not mix up Africa. So the people who existed in that area of
Actually, that's false, guys. They did mix up Africa. Through colonization, they forced certain tribes into different regions that they never inhabited before. So, yes, just like they moved around the indigenous tribes and, you know, made them one big tribe and renamed them and did a bunch of fuck shit, they did the same thing to Africans.
Land that is now called Nigeria, all of those kingdoms are still there. They're still there.
But those people immigrated from there. Let me tell you something. Colonization.
No. They're still there. So if they tell you you're Igbo, the Igbo kingdom is still there. Yes, it's a part of Nigeria, but it is still geopolitically where it was before the white man showed up in Africa. So that does not dismiss the authentic. No, but wait. So let me ask you this. Stay with me.
Okay.
You have 256 7 times great grandparents. Every human being on the planet Earth has 256 great grandparents. How many of those 256 for you are Native Americans?
All of them.
And you know this how?
Because can't nobody prove that we came
No. Don't tell me what nobody can prove. No.
Because my grandmother told me.
How does Nikki? So do you have the name?
I came from a country I know.
The name Nakia is pretty African.
So basically, you're Native American because nobody can prove you're not.
I'm indigenous to this land. This is my
but the only way you can prove you're indigenous to this land is to give me the names of your.
And it's interesting because earlier in this discussion, Umar was talking about what do you do that doesn't involve white people, blase, blase. Most of these Pan-Africans are running around claiming they descend from Africans because European-centered public education school systems taught them that, and European-backed films like 12 Years a Slave and, you know, Roots taught them that. So, yeah, they're basically African because the white man told them that.
256 7 times great grandparents, but you don't know a single name. Nakia, you don't know a single name. Do you see how ignorant that is?
No.
Umar, what's ignorant is you Pan-Africans also don't know the names of your great. Mother, aren't you the one that was running around lying and claiming to be a direct descendant of Frederick Douglass until the family came out and said, oh, no relation?
But prove to me they African, though. Okay, so prove to me my 256 is African then. So you prove it.
Okay. I'm gonna prove. This is what I want you to do for me. Just do this one thing for me. Get me the 16 names of your great grandparents, and I'll prove you African.
Okay, all right. I will give you that, and I'll get that.
Give me that. I will prove to you. Because the point that you indigenous Negroes keep missing is even the Native Americans are a mixed race African people.
Oh my God.
That's the point that y'all missing. The first people in this country were African people.
Okay,
the people that you call native came over here later and mixed with the original Africans who came here.
Okay, Dr.
So when you say you are indigenous, you know what.
So basically, Umar just believes in the out of Africa theory, right? Hey, Umar, why don't you go to Europe and try to convince the Europeans that they descend from Africans? Why don't you go to China and convince the Chinese that they descend from Africans, since you claim that basically everybody's African, and if you're indigenous to any landmass, really you just traveled from Africa?
Just saying, all you're admitting is that you are an African from an earlier group of immigrants from the mother continent. That's all you're saying. And when you say you're African, you're saying you're an immigrant. When you say you African, that means that I am not from this land. When you say you are an African American, you're calling yourself an immigrant, which says that you have you're missing the whole point. First of all, I am an African, and my people are the first people to populate every land on this.
Sir, you are an African. Your people invented the whole concept of slave trades. Your people have been selling slaves since the 7th century when they had the Arab slave trade. And then your people sold their fellow people to Europeans in the 15th century for gunpowder, trinkets, spices, and mirrors. So it's interesting how the pan-goofies always want to cherry pick proud little moments within African history, but they don't want to talk about the African degeneracy. I mean, guys, if we want to talk about the African degeneracy, it's not that hard to do. It's not that hard at all. Take a look at my YouTube channel, guys. Take a look. You go to my YouTube channel. You go to home. We go over here to past live streams. Let's see how these Africans are getting down. Oh, wait, hold on. It's better for us to just click live. Let's go ahead and click the live tab and see how these Africans are getting down. Let's see. Let's see. What's so proud about these Africans? Africans are hiding in New York City basements. Yes. Yes. Africans are sneaking through our Mexico border. Yes, definitely. Definitely. Sex for grades is African culture. Yes, professors are raping schoolgirls in Africa. Let's talk about it. They don't want to talk about it, though. African incest crisis. Yes, they have a crisis of incest. Modern African house slaves. Yes, Africans are enslaving fellow Africans as house slaves. Homeless Africans complaining in New York City. Yeah, this African culture, this African history is so rich and something to be proud of, huh, Umar John? It's something to be oh so proud of.
This planet. I am the first in Europe. I am the first in America. I am the first in Asia. I am the first in the South Pacific. I am the first everywhere. Yes, I immigrated from Africa. You damn right. And I don't.
And you Africans fucked up the continent so bad that no African wants to live in Africa. Umar, it's crazy how you Pan-Africans don't stream from Africa. You don't go live from Africa. You're over here in America preaching African supremacy.
Have a problem with that because Africa is the ancestral, spiritual, cultural, and historical homeland of my people. So yes, I am an African, but everywhere else I am, I got there from Africa. And that's what you self-hating indigenous, freedmen, ADOS, FBA, and everything else don't want to admit. You're trying to run away from being Black. Your movement is based on self-hatred and the love of white folks.
No, Dr. Umar, I love my.
You went to France and you already didn't like Africans from the continent.
No, that's not true. I swear to God, Dr. Umar, when I went to Europe, that's the reason why I went. I was like, I'm tired of racism. I'm tired of killing over here. I'm tired of all of this that's going on in America. I want to be over in Europe. I think it's gonna be better. Ain't no racism. Ain't nothing. I didn't even know.
Wait a minute.
Wait. Why did this dumb broad think that she would go to Europe and there would be no racism in Europe? What, huh? Oh, Lord. Even though she is one of our Niji sisters, she's lacking the IQ.
Time out. Wait, stop. Did I just hear you say you want to go to Europe?
No. I'm telling you before. This is my ideology. To let you know.
I'm about to say, because how you talking all this indigenous American stuff and you want to run to the white man?
No. This is before. I'm telling you, before I went to Europe, I didn't have any racist thought. I wasn't big against Africans. I wasn't against Europe. I wasn't against nobody. I just was like, you know what? Right now, America is too much going on. Let me go over to Europe where it's a little bit more calmer. And when I went over there, I was shocked at what I saw. You know, what I saw firsthand living over there for 2 years. And I'm telling you, my experience with Africa, it's a lot of Africans over there. My experience with it's a lot of Arabs and Muslims over there too. It's a lot of Muslims over there, Arabs, Chinese, a bunch of people over there. So that's my experience. But let's get back to the transatlantic slave trade.
What about
you
it?
mean to tell me? Okay,
we was here before the transatlantic slave trade, but go ahead.
Okay, as far as on a business, because slavery was a business, right?
So I guess Umar Johnson doesn't know what an ethnogenesis is, right, guys? Hey, yes, you're Black Indians, but 400,000 years ago, I think you guys migrated from Africa, sir. They still are their own people through their own ethnogenesis. East Africans are vastly different from West Africans. West Africans are vastly different from Southern Africans. South Africans are vastly different from North Africans. So much difference on the continent of Africa. But just playing devil's advocate, let's say Black Indians really migrated from Africa all these years ago, hundreds of thousands, eons ago. Why are you not identifying them as their own separate ethnic group?
Slavery was a business.
APOW, African Prisoners of War.
Okay,
APOW.
That makes okay. It was a business. So just look at this as a business standpoint. You're a business owner. I'm a business owner. Okay, I'm going to go and get some Africans for this is what 1500s, right? And 1400s, 1492 or 1400. Get some Africans, all right? How many was fitting on that boat? About 300 of them on the boat. Strap them on the boat. Have them go through the Atlantic, which we know is a long voyage from Africa to America with no motor. Okay, then they going down to the Caribbean and all that. So they going through the hurricane season and everything. We getting them down there, get them over here. They gonna be sickly, they stinky, they ain't had no food, they ain't had no drink, they've been side by side, they funky. I'm getting them over here to a foreign land, which they know nothing about. I'm gonna have to clean them up. Teach them how to till this land, teach them about this land, just so they can till and some cotton and grow some vegetables that they can grow all in Africa, which is supposed to be the motherland, because Africa's supposed to be able to grow all this stuff too. Why would I take you from Africa and bring you all the way to another land and risk my boat sinking, you guys dying, being sickly, and bring you some
Facts. That's why only 4% of the Africans transported during the transatlantic slave trade, only 4% went to North America. Over 90% went to the Caribbean, South America. The biggest population went to Brazil. And Brazil is much closer to West Africa than North America is.
Somewhere else just to pick some fucking cotton. It makes no sense. Why would I do that when there's people already on that land that knows how to farm and migrate that land?
If I understand your question,
I'm going to keep the
if I understand you.
And it's unfortunate that even though the sister is correct, she's surrounded with pan goofies who don't acknowledge what she's saying. It logistically does not make sense for me to pay to import people over here if I have natives over here that I'm already killing, subjugating, and enslaving. And the sister's right. Most people are unaware of the fact that many Black Indigenous folks were reclassified as Negro and placed on plantations alongside with those few Africans and those hundreds of thousands white slaves from Europe as well. But they don't want to talk about that, do they?
Your question, Nakia.
Yes.
Why didn't the white man enslave the African in Africa instead of bringing him to the New World?
Why would he? It makes no sense.
Is that the question? Is that the question?
Yes.
Because if it is the question,
and obviously Umar's ignorant to the fact that the first slave trade that was across the Atlantic was actually them selling and sending Aboriginal Americans to Europe and the Caribbean and other places. They took some of these Native American tribal people that were beefing with them, warring against them, and they shipped them to Jamaica, the Caribbean, even as far as Europe. That was the first migration of slaves, and it was from North America outwards, not from Africa to North America.
The answer is real simple, sister.
Why?
Europeans were looking for new territories that they could control and offload their excess population. They were interested in building empire. Listen. Africa for a long time was ground that the European did not want to touch because he was afraid of it. He had never investigated the continent.
But why you slave? If you're afraid, how you want to slave the people if you're afraid of them? How you
because
slave
when
2 million people and you're afraid of them? That makes no sense.
First of all, when they finally came to Africa and began the slave trade, they were on the coast of Africa, not in the interior. If you're going to enslave, listen, if you're going to enslave African people and build an economic empire out of it, you can't do that from the coast. You have to go in the inside. That's one of the reasons why they made deals with African rulers who would go and get the enslaved Africans and bring them back to the coast. It wasn't until Stanley traveled to the heart of Africa into the...
Yeah, Umar, let me correct you. They didn't make deals with warlords who then grabbed enslaved Africans. The African warlords went out and enslaved Africans. But see how he still has to, do the Orwellian doublespeak right there? No, Africans chose to enslave other Africans and bring those slaves to the coast to then get sold and traded for gunpowder and other little trinkets. But Umar don't really like acknowledging that part, does he?
The Congo, and once he crossed the entire continent, he told the white man, we can make it here. Africa was already populated by kingdoms that they would have to destroy, and the white man wasn't able to survive the climate nor the diseases of the mother continent. It was not feasible. It was not feasible, Nakia. All you got to do is read the history on European global exploration. He did not listen. He did not listen, Nakia. He did not start going into the African interior until his military technology allowed him to fight the African at a distance. Study the history of military.
The ones on the coast.
There
was no kingdoms on the coast, and the ones on the coast were the weaker ones, so they took the weaker.
If you're on the coast, you are on the water, sweetheart. Do you know what that means?
That don't mean
if I got to get the hell out of Dodge, I can get the hell out of Dodge. What I want to go in the interior for of a country I don't know anything about, in a climate that I can barely survive? What are you talking about? Why did they bring Africans to America? Because the Native Americans knew the land too well, so they kept on escaping, and the white man was dying from diseases.
And the African slaves that did come over here, albeit few, they still fled and joined indigenous communities. So what are you talking about? Oh, no, they didn't want the natives to be slaves because the natives could run away. African slaves also ran away. And they literally reclassified Aboriginal Black folks and relabeled them Negro and placed them on plantations. So what's this? They didn't want native slaves because natives would just run away. No, clearly they reclassified the melanated natives and called them Negroes and made them slaves. Good Lord. How is this man a doctor? I mean, did he get his doctorate from ITT Tech?
So he needed somebody who could withstand those heats and those diseases. And that's why they brought us, because we're the genetically strongest people on the planet Earth.
Wake it up.
He did go to Africa. Do you know that by the time slavery ended, he was already colonizing Africa, but he did not start there because he did not think he would be successful there in the beginning.
Oh my God. Okay, Dr. Umar.
Okay. The climate of Africa was deemed unbearable by the Europeans. You can study this.
So what, they had to wait a couple 100 years until the climate got better and then they can colonize it? Stop the fucking cap. They were doing business deals with Africans to trade in slaves. And the Africans were business partners of the Europeans from the 15th century to the early 19th century. In the early 19th century, the Europeans started to colonize and invade Africa, and they didn't wait that long because they didn't have enough technology and they had to build up their immunity to fucking malaria. They waited that long because they didn't have a purpose to colonize them. They go into the coast, they giving them little trinkets and shillings for human cargo. I ain't got no reason to explore your country and figure out what you got and blase, blase, blase. But after being business partners with them for a couple 100 years, oh, we learned some things about these Africans. We learned they're a bit backwards of a people. We learned they're very easy to control. We learned they think us white folks are gods. Now we know enough to conquer them and take their land.
Sister, you don't have to believe me.
Okay, that's
You can study this. Christopher Columbus was in Africa. He got the map to come over here from African brothers and sisters. He spent the whole week in one of the slave dungeons in Ghana, either Elmina or Cape Coast, and they teach you that when you go there. So they knew how to come to America because we taught them how to come to America. But they wanted to go to a land that they thought would be much more efficient to conquer and colonize. The white man wasn't about to go into Africa, try to conquer and colonize.
Okay,
he didn't do that until after.
So you mean to tell me when they came over here, because they was calling us savages, and when they came over here, we've been fighting. We gave them hell. And
them calling you a savage means what?
we was fighting them just as much. What battles have you seen the Africans fight versus the battles that we didn't fought? You see, we fought them way
Are
more
you
than the Africans
serious?
fought them.
Are
Yes,
you
we did.
serious?
We have been fighting
Are you
we done fought-
serious?
Yeah, she's wild.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Misguided. Very misguided.
Every kingdom in Africa just about fought the Europeans. Yes, they had a few collaborators, but most of us fought the
A
Ashanti.
few collaborators, a few. Okay. Guys, Umar's lying so much. I think we need to take a detour. Put a 1 in the chat if you want us to take a quick detour. Come on. 1's in the chat real quick. If you're okay with us taking a quick side quest. Just a real brief side quest, because it's very interesting that he's talking about, what was that movie that just came out lying about African history, saying they was fighting the Europeans? What was it called? It wasn't the Woman King one. It was a different one. Oh, it looks like the people are down for a side quest. Okay, we're going to cut to a brief commercial break, and when we come back, we got this side quest queued up. We'll be back in just a moment.
Let me ask you a question, Dr. Umar. Are you totally against interracial relationships?
I am totally against it.
And Umar's not going to like me because I believe that you can date who you want to date, just don't be a coon. And, we regard Frederick Douglass with high esteem, and he married a white woman at the end of the day. So I look at a man's actions more so than who he dates.
Let me respond to my brother, and I appreciate the dialogue because we still brothers even if we disagree. I want to clarify the Frederick Douglass piece. You're absolutely right. About a decade before his death as an old man, he married a white woman. But let's not forget about Queen Mother Anna Mary Douglas. Frederick Douglass had a dark-skinned, chocolate, beautiful, nappy-headed wife. So I want to make sure Anna Mary Douglas gets her due. Now, to your point that we can marry who we want and not be a coon. How is not building a family with a black woman? How can you be exempt from cooning if you do not build family with black woman?
So by your own rhetoric, it's okay if we marry a white woman as long as we marry a black woman first.
No, you should not be marrying a white woman at all.
And I believe that you exclusively date sisters, right?
Yes, and what about the wealth argument? How are you not a sellout if you're giving white people that type of wealth when they've already stolen enough from us? How could you find a white woman who could ever understand you as well as a sister?
Well, the only reason why I mentioned people's actions is because you yourself exclusively date black, yet you're one of the biggest scammers in our community. It's been 12 years and you still haven't.
Why you do me like that? Why you do me like that, bro?
Oh man, his response wasn't, no, you know what, I'm actually not a scammer. His response was, why you do me like that? But guys, I wanted to take a quick detour because they've got a lot of revisionist history going on with Hollywood. They're making a lot of fake movies like The Woman King, lying about Africa's role in the slave trade, lying and making it seem like there was these female African queens that were fighting European slavery and colonization. No, these movies are goddamn lies. I came across this video on one of my streams we did last week, and this white boy was spilling the beans, y'all. This is not the Woman King movie he's going to react to. This is yet another one. Not only did they come out with The Woman King a year ago or so, but they also came out with a Netflix movie called Queens of Nzinga, more revisionist history.
Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and see what it is that we're going to be dealing with.
Born into an era of darkness, a warrior, a queen destined to lead.
It's actually interesting here from the very beginning how they're showing all these shots of, well, her moving around with a blade and fighting and showing specifically women that are equipped with spears. In many circumstances, like what they would have shown with Cleopatra, that would have been false. But unlike that scenario, we're talking about a case in which, from what I'm familiar with the history of Queen Jinga, she actually was trained in combat. She straight up was a warrior. That was a thing specifically for her. And she did at some points have a all-female bodyguard.
And you see that the white boy is non-biased. He's objective. He's calling out what they got right, and he's going to call out what they got wrong.
So, hey, from the very beginning, not too bad.
There are no slaves in my kingdom.
No. Hold on. Netflix, is this why people are hating your series? Is this why people are going against you? You're having this African queen go, and I don't know who it is that she's addressing right now, but she's saying there are no slaves in her kingdom. Really? That's not true. That is straight up not true. This individual here in history, Queen Jinga, is one of the key reasons as to why the slave trade in the area expanded. For anyone who is not familiar with her story at all, it is something that is quite complex. It is.
Come on, y'all, let's talk about it. They making movies painting the picture like Africans was banging against slavery, when in fact, those Africans that they show in the movie fighting the European slave drivers, they were actually in business with them, but they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to show those clips in the movie.
Very complex. It is neither a good nor bad story. It is just all over the place because it's real, it's history, it's drama, it's all these different things that are occurring at the same time, and there really are no heroes and villains. She would wage a war against, I'm assuming they're talking to the Portuguese, because she was waging wars against the Portuguese, specifically with the Dutch as allies much later in her reign, because the Portuguese were trying to control the slave trade within the region that she was king of, which is like Angola. And this,
come on, y'all, when they say that these Africans was fighting Europeans, nah, they were fighting one faction of Europeans while teaming up with another faction. It just said she was fighting the Portuguese and she teamed up with the Dutch. You know, the Dutch Afrikaners. Yeah, those type of Dutch people.
slave trade was one of the cornerstones of the kingdom's economy, so they didn't want the Portuguese to be interfering in the slave trade. They themselves wanted to be in control over the slave trade because it was one of the big points that would make the money that
and even with her fighting against the Portuguese, it wasn't to end the slave trade. It was so that the Africans can maintain control and dominance over the slave trade, so the Africans can profiteer the most from the slave trade. That's what she was fighting. But the movie wants to paint it like, oh, there will not be no slaves in my kingdom. What it really should say is, we don't want y'all fucking up our slave money, so we gonna team up with the Dutch to kick out the Portuguese.
They would use to buy weapons and other stuff. So from the very beginning, Netflix, I don't know what the context of that line that she's saying is, but that doesn't sound good.
She fearlessly defended her kingdom against European power.
The king's under threat. The king.
I mean, yes, she did defend the kingdom against European power. Specifically, she fought the Portuguese and she teamed up with the Dutch in order to be able to do so, because the Dutch and the Portuguese were constantly fighting one another at this time in the late 1500s going into the 1600s, going into the early 1600s, because they were constantly competing over territory and trade rights in the area. Both were really small nations, but their trade empires were huge and they were competing over that.
King is always under threat.
Slavery threatened to decimate a continent.
Slavery threatened to decimate a continent. Not exactly, no, sort of. The continent was always fighting itself over slavery from the beginning. It's not that it threatened to decimate the continent. It already had been. For the majority of African kingdoms that were on the West Coast, slavery was one of the key reasons as to why the kingdoms were able to exist in the first place.
Come on, so when Umar Johnson and all the pan goofies want to talk about us Aboriginals or pretendians, and they want to be so prideful about certain select moments in African history, when they want to big up these kings and these African kingdoms were not rich because of gold or diamonds or cobalt. It was because of their slaves they traded to foreigners. And when he wants to call us wabos and pretendians, God damn it, there ain't no black Aboriginal folks that enslaved their own. Out of the thousands of tribes, 5 got beaten down, assimilated, and they called them civilized tribes. And some of those civilized tribes held some slaves. 5 out of the thousands of tribes, after hundreds of years of conflict, acquiesced. Meanwhile, Africans, under their own accord, under their own fruition, have been trading slaves since the beginning of time. But we're supposed to adopt some fake African identity and try to exalt Africa, when Africa's been doing some fuck shit for centuries.
Wars, the Zulu Wars, the Ethiopians even beat them. The Zulus even beat them. The white man had to fight for almost 100 years before he could finally take Africa
too.
comfortably.
The Seminoles fought. We fought as
You
well.
gotta-
The Haitians fought.
You're not no Seminole. Listen.
We fought just as well. You
Okay,
like
so
we
you a
didn't fight
Seminole.
also.
But
We fought just as much as
how
you
are
fought.
you a Seminole when you can't give me the names of your 16 great? So you're sure you're Seminole?
No,
How are you an African when you can't give us the names of your 16 great? It goes both ways.
But you don't even know the names of your 16 great grandparents. How did you?
Was Blackfoot. We're Blackfoot and Osage. I know.
Okay, you're Blackfoot and Osage.
Yes, we are.
How many of your 256 7 times great grandparents are Blackfoot and Osage?
I can only go back to my great
And here's the funny part. Here's the funny part. Here's the funny part.
Here's the funny part is that you stay trying to insult us and force feed false notions of African identity. You trying to call us pretendians and tell us what we not, but we're the folks that have actually done our genealogy, and we're the folks that actually have our citizenship intact, and we're the folks who actually know our family's lineage. But oh no, we African because Umar says so, because that makes Umar and his pals feel good about themselves. Okay, all right.
Your Blackfoot ancestors and your Osage ancestors have African ancestry as well. That's the ridiculous part. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Right here from this
yes,
land.
they
this
do.
Is our land. You can be from Africa and fight from Africa, but I'm gonna fight for America. You can go.
Listen to me. Your identity is false. Your identity is false. Every African on the planet came from Africa. Anybody who tells you you was in America and didn't come from Africa is a lie, and they cannot prove it. The issue is y'all hate yourself.
No,
y'all hate being black. Y'all hate being African. And so what you're doing is you are claiming.
Peep the gaslighting, y'all. Peep the gaslighting. Oh, it's not that you guys are really Aboriginal. It's that you guys hate yourselves. Okay. We got the receipts, y'all. We got the receipts. Black Aboriginals been in America since settlers first came over. Peep the book, Philosophical and Antiquarian Aboriginal History of America. It's talking about a Spanish explorer called Vizcaino. And when Vizcaino went to the California coast, he had a Negro with him. He had a Negro guide from Africa. He had a Negro with him, and he was helping him interact with the natives. And it says right here, although America possesses some dark brown men approaching to be black, yet it has been almost universally believed that there were no Aboriginal blacks or Negroes found on this continent. But from considering the peculiar circumstances under which a black race was found in North America, I hold it more than probable that the common opinion is erroneous, aka, in plain English, most of us forever thought that there was no black natives, but actually, we realized there's black Aboriginals. Come on. It says, Torquemada says, the Californians showed no matter of surprise at the sight of some Negroes that accompanied Vizcaino on a voyage to this coast. If we scroll down to the bottom a little bit, it says that a Negro was ordered to distribute a biscuit to the Californians, to the natives, right? Hey, Negro, helping us Spanish explorers. You Negro, go give them natives a biscuit. Quote, the natives seemed greatly pleased at the sight of the Negro and signified to him that they lived in friendship and correspondence with a people of his color, and that not far from thence was a Negro village. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? But see, when you're faced with such facts, when you're faced with such truth, the way that Umar deflects away from that is, well, you know what? There were black Aboriginals, but they came from Africa way like 500,000 years ago. Oh, what proof do I have? Oh, none. It's just theories. Haven't you heard the out of Africa theory?
You're claiming an identity that somebody gave you on YouTube.
You don't love
because
the land that you own.
Anything is.
And you Pan-Africans are claiming to be African because the Rothschild-backed education school system taught us we come from African slave boats, right? You think you're African because you grew up watching Roots, right? Okay.
Better.
You don't even live on.
Anything is better. Anything is better than being an African. So you will claim anything they give you.
This land
You
right
can't
here.
even
It's a
name
land
your
that your
ancestors,
mother,
though.
your father,
You ain't gave
and
me
your
no
grandparents
names.
were born on, and you don't even love it.
Sister,
You
can
don't
you
even
give
love
me
it,
some
but you
names
love
of your
Africa.
what were the names of your Blackfoot ancestors since you're so Blackfoot?
Oh Lord, this is pointless, y'all. This is pointless. If you're new to the broadcast, smash the like button, share the video, hit the Cash App or the PayPal if you support the mission. The Cash App and the PayPal are in the chat. You know they got me demonetized and shadow banned, but I'm still here to bring you the content you need. But oh Lord, we're gonna wrap up the stream here shortly. But if you guys want an encore, you know what to do.
You can't give me a name, sister. That's ignorant.
My grandmother,
That's
my
ignorant.
great-grandmother, my grandmother Ella, my grandmother Sherm, my grandfather Riley, my grandmother Teresa Red. Baby, we are Blackfoot in Osage. We come from this land.
Y'all Blackfoot in Osage.
And guess what?
Y'all go back to what date? Give me a date. Give me a date. You can.
So first it was you don't know the names, and then she starts listing names. Now it's okay, give me a date. A date of what? The date that Europeans came over here and validated our existence? The date of what?
Take them back how far? You can take them back how far?
I can take my grandmother back to the 1800s. My great my great
18 what? 18 what?
Like
18 what?
1825. I can go back there.
Okay, where were they before that?
They were right here on this land. Ain't nobody been from no Africa.
How do you know that if you can only go back to 1825?
Prove that they were from Africa.
No. I need you to answer my question. You told me that you can listen. You told me you can go back to 1825. If you listen, you told me you can go back to 1825. So you can go back to Frederick Douglass being 5.
And we just had a contribution come through from Anthony. Shout out to the brother Anthony. Thank you for throwing 5 on it.
5 years old. Okay, I got you.
And you guys know, as of late, for algorithm's sake, I try to keep my live streams under an hour. But if you guys want to keep going, if you guys want me to keep flowing with the content, then just go ahead and throw 5 on the Cash App or the PayPal. We'll go ahead and go into an encore. We still got about 12 minutes of this video left, and then I got several others of Umar Johnson attempting to debate Indigenous history.
You can go back to Frederick Douglass being 5, but you don't know nothing about them people before 1845. And let me tell you why you don't know nothing about those. Let me tell you why you don't know nothing about those people before 1825. Because thank you.
Oh my God.
Thank you. There you go. There you go.
They were right here.
There you go. Are you aware that Native Americans have African ancestry? Do you know that?
Dr. Umar, let me tell you something, Dr. Umar.
No, I need you to answer my question. No, I need you to answer my question. You didn't answer the question, Nakia. Nakia, are you aware that Native Americans have African ancestry? Yes or no? Are you aware?
They have Indigenous American.
No, I didn't say Indigenous. I said African. Are you aware of that?
Some may do, but mine don't.
Oh, see, I need you to. Okay. The problem is you're not well read, Sister Nakia. Listen to me, Sister Nakia. The problem is you're not well read. You need more historical education.
I don't need.
Gosh, he's so condescending and just talking out of his ass. I mean, how would you even prove that Aboriginal Americans come from Africans? What is he going to say? Some dumb shit about DNA, which we already know is unequivocally false. I mean, it can tell you who your pappy is. It can't tell you what tribe or what ethnicity you belong to. So I'm wondering what evidence Umar has to just suggest that Aboriginal melanated folks came from Africa. Does he also think that the Aboriginal Australians come from Africa? I mean, I'm confused, guys. I'm confused. I've got answers. I mean, excuse me. Listening to Umar Johnson, I don't have no answers. I have questions. I have questions, and I'm seeking answers. I mean, we talk about so much Native Black American history on my channel. You know, we have the answers. You know, we've done the deep dive, but Umar and these pan goofies, nah. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it at all. And shout out to Aaron. Thank you for throwing down on the Cash App. Appreciate the support, brother. And y'all make sure to go check out Aaron and support him. You know, when my Nightbot posts this link in the chat about the Freedmen's Affairs podcast, you know that's our our man Aaron right there. So make sure to go support the brother. This is him, the Freedmen's Network, and this is where you can find him. Link is in the chat on Spotify, iHeart, and basically everywhere that podcasts are held these days. We've also got a contribution coming through from Christopher. Christopher, thank you for the support, brother. Oh, wait a minute. And we got Sharice coming through to put something in the brown paper bag. Oh, boy.
Brown paper bag. Brown paper bag. Brown paper bag. Brown paper bag.
All right, guys, we're at the 54-minute mark. If you want to dip into another hour of content, we need just one or two more people to go ahead and throw 5 on it. Come on, charge it to the game, y'all. Charge it to the game. You see what happens is when we do these encores and we go past the 1 hour mark, all that means is it's a little bit extra work for me, because then what I'm going to have to do is clip up this live stream and repurpose it in a much more easy to digest format. But either way, when it comes to exposing the hypocrisy with not just Umar Johnson's rhetoric, but the whole Pan-African community in general, with how they gaslight us Aboriginals, I mean, it's absolutely sickening. First, it's like, you're not native, you're a pretendian because you can't name 62 grandparents. And then it's, oh, wait, oh, you are native. Well, even though you're native, those natives really came from Africa. I mean, why do these guys want to cling on to Africa so viciously, but they sure as hell don't want to live there? They don't even really want to visit like that. They don't even spend half the year in Africa, a quarter of the year in Africa. They over here in America talking about how great Africa is. Riddle me that.
No, yes, you do, my sister. And the problem with a lot of you, listen to me. The problem with a lot of you, Nakia, listen to me, Queen. The problem with a lot of you young folks is you get your education from uneducated YouTubians. That's the problem. You don't read books by real scholars with real documentation.
This is Dr. Umar. I don't know what you think I've been watching, but I'm telling you what my family told me.
Right, but they can only go back to 1825. That's nothing. 1825 is not. That's not history.
Do we? If I call
you can only go back to 1825, sister.
Baby,
that means you know nothing about.
That's what my grandmother does.
Everybody over here came from somewhere else. And Sister Nakia, you said it sounded like you were making an argument that slavery could not have happened because Africa is so close to Europe and the white man didn't need to go to America to enslave blacks. He could have enslaved us in Africa.
No, dumbass. She was saying that why would they import Africans to North America when they already have Aboriginals here that they're subjugating? That's what she was saying, you imbecile.
Are you leaving out the fact that the white man thought he was going to uncharted, uninhabited territory? Isn't that the...
And also, so what I'm realizing is, I guess Umar has a theory that at one point in time, America was just empty. What America was the only continent on Earth that at one point in time was just totally empty until some folks from Africa came over one day. I mean, all right.
Reason they called it the New World, he thought he was going to a place where he would not have to fight in order to control and conquer the land. That's one of the biggest reasons why they came over to the Americas, because they thought they were largely unpopulated and they could not handle the climate of Africa, and they knew Africa had standing kingdoms with standing armies, so they bought their time until the European military arsenal was strong enough to fight the African without having to engage in hand-to-hand combat. Are you one of those Negroes who believe slavery did not happen?
I do believe that.
Oh my! You believe slavery did not happen?
I do. I believe slavery.
Lord have mercy.
Oh Lord, she's definitely doing a disservice to the Aboriginal community, because slavery definitely happened. The story of the transatlantic slave trade has been revised, but slavery did happen. The transatlantic slave trade did happen. It's just 90% of those African slaves went to Brazil, South America, Caribbean. Only 4% came to North America. But slavery did happen. You know, they reclassified us Aboriginal folks as slaves and Negroes and put us on plantations. So slavery definitely happened. No one's saying slavery never happened. I think she just doesn't really know how to articulate herself effectively. We're going to try to give her the benefit of the doubt.
Base that on what? You base that on what? Hold on. I want to hear her. I want to hear Sister Nakia's. She has a right to her opinion. Sister Nakia,
thank you.
why do you believe slavery did not happen?
Got a right to her facts.
Because if slavery didn't happen, there was never no Harriet Tubman, no Frederick Douglass, which means I can't exist either because I'm from the same family as Frederick Douglass. I'm a bell.
You're not. Frederick Douglass's family came out and said that there's no relation between you and Frederick Douglass. Stop it.
So that means, how am I even here? But I want you to explain how slavery didn't happen.
Okay. I don't believe in the transatlantic slave trade. I don't believe we were brought here on boats.
So Africans were not brought to America.
I don't believe that.
So when you go to Africa, so those slave dungeons were made up.
The ones that are in Africa,
they were made up.
They must be. Because I believe that.
See, and she's right. She just doesn't know how to articulate herself. You're right, sister. Most of us did not come from slave boats from Africa, but the slave trade did exist. The slave castles did exist. It's just most of those slaves were being trafficked to the Caribbean, Brazil, South America, which is why those places have such a huge African population to this day. Let's talk about it.
That when they came to this land, when they came over here to this land, and have you read Christopher Columbus journals that he wrote back to the Queen?
I absolutely do, and you must not have. And you must not have. Because if you read him, he told you he found African people over here.
Are a godly people. When he came over here, it was people already here. We were already
here. And did you read the descriptions? Did you read what he said? Did you read what he said, Nakia? Nakia, did you read what he said? Did you read what he said? What did he say about the people?
What he said.
What did he say about the people he found?
He never said we came from Africa.
He said that the people he found in the islands, because Columbus never came to America. Columbus came to islands off the coast.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely. Vespucci was the first European to come to Columbus.
Right, exactly.
And who did Columbus, and what did Columbus describe the people, how did he describe the people he saw?
He as dark-skinned people, as godly people, and calmly people.
You didn't give me the rest of the descriptions. And how did he describe their hair?
They was woolly and woolly and
yeah, woolly.
So I guess the only people on earth that have woolly hair is Africans, huh? Forget the fact that even Aboriginal blacks wore a dreadlock type style. I mean, apparently, let Umar tell it. If you have woolly hair, you have to be from Africa. Okay. And shout out to the people that threw down on the broadcast. We are going to go into a bit of an encore. We'll keep the stream going for another half an hour or so. If anybody wants to call in, don't be scared. Click that link. Let me know what you think, whether you disagree or agree. I'd love to hear what you got to say.
And if you read some of Columbus's notations, he also makes reference to the point that the individuals he encountered in the Caribbean islands look just like the ones he encountered in Africa.
Okay, we may look similar, but we're not the same, baby.
Then let's do the DNA test.
Of course, a European in like the fucking 1500s would think that anybody that's melanated looks like anybody else that's melanated. Of course, they have a very limited scope of melanated people. Come on, y'all. Come on. Oh, because Columbus said that they were kind of dark like the Africans he encountered. That means they must be from Africa. All right, guys. All right. Brown paper bag test it is. Brown paper bag test, y'all. And we ain't talking about when y'all slide something in the brown paper bag.
Brown paper bag.
No. We talking about that racist eugenics brown paper bag shit. And Umar Johnson is perpetuating it.
So let's see. Let's do the DNA test and see if you don't come from Africa. Nakia, can we do the DNA test? Can we do the DNA? Nakia, can we do the DNA?
Listen, all that DNA is gonna tell me that I'm from West Africa, and I know I don't need no DNA test to lie to me, and I know where I'm from.
And yes, Christopher, they never want to tether the Australian Aboriginals to the conversation, but they want us to think that we're African. I wonder why that is. I wonder why they ain't running over to the Indians, the Indians that are even darker than us over in India, and telling them that they come from Africa, but they want to tell us because we got some melanin, we come from Africa. Okay.
So let me ask you a question then. So you're telling me all that African history, all that African history of African princes and African kings and Africans who went back to Africa even during slavery, Africans who fought and sued for their right to return home, all of that is manufactured history.
She said
correct?
It's a lot.
I don't believe it.
Can she please
On that-
stop talking? Because I promise you.
No,
she's
hold on, and let me.
She's so long-winded, and like I'm
Agreed.
sorry.
We're gonna Nakia.
All the people are asking.
Listen, you guys need to
Nakia.
open the other dialect. You can't just be like.
Well,
oh,
you've
person
taken
gonna
up a
think
lot
the
of
way-
space, though, man.
No,
Just
I
giving you a
appreciate
hard
your
time.
opinion.
Because I'm telling you, we are waking up. We are waking up over here, and we're realizing that we're not coming from Africa. And when you say the
But
reason,
but
the reason why
based
the
on
white
what
man,
proof though?
listen,
Based on what proof?
Dr. Umar
Nakia,
Johnson,
you
the
waking
reason why
up.
the white man is telling us this because
Yeah, and Umar Johnson uses DNA tests as his source, even though it's been debunked. DNA cannot tell you your ethnicity, but he's going to use that as his rationale behind why we all come from Africa. Guys, DNA will not tell you shit. Your genealogy is what's important. And people have been asking for me to revamp this. So backed by popular demand, we are doing the $50 consultations. If you guys want to link up with Mike on over Zoom for an hour and I give you the game on the step-by-step process that I took to trace my family's genealogy and apply for citizenship through my tribe, then goddamn it, go ahead and email me, mike@keymediapro.com, and I'll hip you to what the process entails. Because we got people like Umar that want us to think that DNA can really tell us something. But did you know that even our own government does not use DNA to prove ethnicity? Did you know Native American tribes do not use DNA to prove your status as a tribal member? They use paperwork, genealogy.
Here, you're waking up and finding out you're not from Africa based on what documentation? What is your proof you're not? You ain't gave me no proof. You told me grandma was Blackfoot. You ain't gave me no proof that you did not come from the continent. But I'm telling you, we could take a DNA test and prove that you came from the continent.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I love you, Quay. Lord have mercy. My God. Thank God for Pan-Africanism. It's actually sick. It's really sick. And you know why it's sick, Dr. Goddess, before you continue? It's sick because young people are being influenced. Young people are being influenced by these social network, self-taught fools. They're not scholars. They have, and I'm not talking about you, Sister Nikki. This is not about you, but the people who have informed you. These people are not scholars. They've done no original research at all. Everything they got is from the internet, or they might have read a few books, and they are on a crusade due to their own self-hatred to try to convince all African people in this country that you did not come from the mother continent. And let me tell you what makes that argument so sick. The sickest part of the "we ain't from Africa" argument is the fact that damn near every people of color on the planet traces their origin to the continent. This is the sickest part of it. Japanese, Chinese, Mexicans, Arabs, everybody traces their origin to the mother continent. So of all the people in the world, there's only one group in the entire planet who will argue you down that they don't come from Africa. And you want me to believe it's a coincidence that it just so happens that these people were the most psychologically terrorized of any people in human history. And that is...
So the Africans also weren't psychologically terrorized, right? The Africans who were getting their limbs chopped off and buck broken and exploited and colonized and enslaved in their own country, they didn't get oppressed. It's just that, Black Americans got oppressed so hard, and we've just got this crazy psychosis. All right, Umar. All right.
the American African? Is it a coincidence that we are the only people who will claim we do not come from Africa? We're the only people of color on the earth who will argue we don't come from Africa, and it just so happens we are the most psychologically traumatized group in human history. And that's exactly why they pushing that.
All right. Well, guys, to say Umar Johnson is a goddamn fool is a understatement, to say the least. I mean, what is man smoking? What is man smoking? I don't know. I don't think it's legal. I don't think it's decriminalized. Whatever it is, maybe all the
Man, oh,
we was going good till Michael went a little left.
12 years.
Why you do me like that?
Man,
Why you do me like that, bro? Oh, man. Oh,
we was going good till Michael went a little left.
Thank you, Sister Avanti, $10 coming on the Cash App. Thank you, sister. Next time, make it 20, but thank you for that 10. I know you barely had that. Thank you, sister. The goddamn NBA is a suspect. As soon as I said that, Mama Oya blew my cell phone off the stand. I keep telling you, consciousness over coochie. Politics over punani.
Politics over punani. It is revolution over romance. Get your mind right, family. This is Garvey.
All right. We're back. Sorry about that, guys. I was having some technical difficulties there. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Maybe the Pan-African Orishas were trying to stop me from dropping this clip. But what I was segueing into is I think he's smoking up the money, because there's been speculation for quite a while that he's on them narcotics.
They're claiming I smoke crack.
Yeah, let's talk about it, y'all. Let's talk about it. But you know what? I found yet another video of Umar Johnson trying to make the asinine claim that Black Aboriginal folks do not exist here in America. Let's go ahead and get into it. Where's the other one, y'all? Where's the other one? This one was real egregious. I'm going to warn you guys ahead of time. You might want to, spark up a joint, get a shot of something. Umar is going to talk real reckless. You have been warned. Viewer discretion is advised. Make sure to smash that like button on the way in. Share the video. Hit the Cash App or the PayPal if you support the mission. But goddamn it, let's get into the content, y'all. Let's get back into the content.
African Americans fear Africa like how slaves feared America. Wow. So African Americans have a mindset like that they come back here, they're going to turn back through time, and they're going to be returned to slavery.
Dr. Cap, that's just not true. We don't fear Africa or Africans. We don't fear slavery. That's Aboriginal American Indians fight. We never were slaves. We don't fear Africa. We don't want to be African. As a matter of fact, we don't even claim African American. The only people here that claim that are the lost souls who've been manipulated by our enemy. I don't know where you're getting your information, but they're lying to you. This obsession that you have with us, trying to get us to come back to somewhere we've never been, that's ridiculous. The copper color American is not African. We've never been. You are the Choctaw. You are the Creek. You are the Muskogee. You are the Chickasaw, etc. This is our land, and nothing you, the $5 fake Native Americans, or the white Europeans say ever get us to leave and go over to your land. I don't know what lies you've been getting from our media, but we ain't no Africans. We ain't scared of y'all. God.
Marcus Garvey was a decoy to lead Native Americans. I'm not a Native American. Let me get you off here. There go another African. He thinks he's a Cherokee Indian.
Oh, look how triggered Umar gets. Look how bitch made and triggered Umar gets. Somebody denounced his goddaddy, Marcus Garvey, the #1 prince of scamanism, right? They said Marcus Garvey was just trying to cause destruction within the Black Aboriginal community. So Umar just couldn't take the smoke. He had to get him up out of there, y'all.
Marcus Garvey was a decoy to lead Native Americans. I'm not a Native American. Let me get you off here. There go another African. He thinks he's a Cherokee Indian. Here's what I want to say to my indigenous, Aboriginal, Native American Africans. All pretendians, listen to me. All pretendians. If you are a fake Native American, I need you to listen to me really well.
Yeah, guys, it's not that we've done our genealogy. It's not that we've traced our lineage, guys. We're just fake Native Americans. That's what it is. We're just insecure to be African. And we just want to pretend to be Native. Let Umar Johnson tell it.
Pretendians, all Aboriginal, Indigenous. I'm not from Africa, American Negroes. Listen to me really well. I need you to listen to me. All pretendians, listen. When are you going to get some Native American resources for our people? Because all I keep hearing about is names and titles. Where are the resources?
Well, sir, as a member of the Muskegee Creek Nation, I get federal earmarked resources. And goddamn it, I'd say I'm helping our people get those same resources by doing cheap consultations to instruct them on how to trace their family's lineage and apply for tribal citizenship. Meanwhile, you pan goofies is running Moorish sovereign citizen scams, telling niggas they can drive with no driver's license, getting them hemmed up by the police. But he don't want to talk about that, huh?
I'm challenging the pretendian community. I pretend to be Indian. I'm challenging the pretendian community. I pretend to be Indian. I'm challenging the pretendian community to get some Native American resources for our people. Can you?
Been there, done that. Matter of fact, the dispensary I go to is on the reservation, so I get a discount every time I show my ID card.
Please do that. Because all I'm hearing about is a whole bunch of words and titles and name changes. Where are the resources for the pretendian nation? My Cherokee coons, where are the resources? Because telling our people to call themselves Cherokee ain't fixed no problem in America yet. Telling our people to call themselves pretender coons ain't fix a single problem we have. Where are the institutions? Where are the resources? Where are the opportunities? Where I'm challenging the fake Cherokees, the fake Choctaws, the fake Seminoles. I'm challenging the Aboriginals, all of you Negroes using white people's words. All of you New Age Native Americans using white people words to describe yourself.
Oh, because African American isn't a white people word, right, Umar? White people didn't create the word African and create the word American, huh, Umar? I guess Africans, indigenous Africans in Africa were calling themselves Africans, huh, Umar? Stop the cap.
Can you please produce some resources? What good is...
Can you please produce the school that you said you were going to build 13 years ago?
Telling people they a Cherokee and you ain't got no damn jobs, you ain't got no schools, you ain't got no damn banks. What good is telling people they Choctaw? You can't stop no police brutality. You ain't got no medical services for nobody. Where is the damn resources for the pretendians? Where is the Aboriginal Native Black Medical Center? Where is the Indigenous Aboriginal University.
Motherfucker, you won't even finish your Pan-African school. You won't even finish your little Pan-African academy, and you're asking us why we don't have Aboriginal XYZ. Guess what we do? Every indigenous reservation has their own schools, has their own museums. What are you talking about? Umar don't know a goddamn. They even have their own government. They got their own police force. What are you talking about?
Where is it? Where is the Pretendian Cherokee Employment Center? Where are you solving our people's problems with these damn labels?
Where is the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy for Boys, Umar?
Where? Not one of these pretendians has any resources set up for our people. All they're giving them is a superficial name change. A superficial name change. That's it. If I'm wrong, can somebody tell me? If there is one pretendian,
you're wrong, dummy.
Indian community in America, can I please have a physical address? If there is a single pretendian community in the United States, can somebody give me a physical address? If I'm wrong, I will donate to the Pretendian Credit Union. Can somebody give me the physical address to the Pseudo-Cherokee Nation? I need an address to the Pretendian Cherokee Nation, the Pretendian Choctaws. Where is your land? Where is your institutions?
Meanwhile, he's telling us we're Africans, but not telling us what tribe, not telling us what country. We're just Africans, right?
Where is your army? You're telling our people to stop being African and come be a pretendian, and you don't even have a damn hot dog. Can they get a hot sausage with some relish and sauerkraut from your ass? No, brothers and sisters, I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm trying to...
Sir, during C-19, us American Indians were getting $4,000 cash payments multiple times per person during COVID, while the rest of America was getting, what, $1,200 payments? So it's interesting that he has no idea of all the federal benefits earmarked for us American Indians, huh? Real interesting how he talks out of his ass.
Read the word of the greatest Pan-Africanist of all time. I'm trying to help our people understand and overstand their
Marcus Garvey, the convicted fraudster who was friends with the KKK. That's who he's bigging up to us, guys. Marcus Garvey, best friend of the Klan.
African responsibilities, and we got Cherokees, we got fake Choctaws interrupting the live. We got fake Native Americans knowing damn well they got African blood in their body, talking about they ain't left nothing in Africa. Chinese geneticists have already admitted the original ancestor of China was an African. Chinese geneticists just admitted last year the original ancestor of China was African.
We're talking about Aboriginal Americans. What the fuck does a Chinaman have to do with this discussion, Umar Johnson? Guess what? I know exactly what he's referencing. I've seen the video. Yes, there's a Chinese geneticist that claims that their ancestors come from Africa. What does that, is he trying to say because one Chinaman claims they descend from Africans, everybody else in the world must as well? Is he using that as evidence to support the out of Africa theory? Is that what's going on?
The East Indian geneticists have already admitted the original ancestor of East India was an African. Our brothers and sisters in the South Pacific have already admitted the original ancestor of the islands of the South Pacific was an African. Our Australian ancestors have already admitted the original inhabitant of Australia was an African.
And guess what? The Australian Aborigines don't call themselves African Australian Aborigine. They've undergone an ethnogenesis. They're their own people. The Chinaman that you just said did some DNA shit and said they come from Africans. They're not calling themselves African Chinese, are they? But for some reason, you want to force feed us some African identity. And meanwhile, no one in the world wants that label. Africans don't even want to be a fucking African.
This has been proven scientifically. This has been proven genetically. This has been proven anthropologically. In Mexico, the original ancestor of Mexico was an African from the continent. So can somebody help me understand?
Yeah, he's gonna have to start citing some sources, guys. I'm very well read. I'm an autodidact. I've never heard South American folks claim that their original ancestors came from Africa. No, they have a huge Afro-Latina population because 90% of the slaves from Africa went to South America. But no, this is the first time I'm hearing Mexicans claim that they come from Africans. What?
Can somebody help me understand? How is it everybody on earth of color, every people of color on the planet of earth, and y'all know I hate to use people of color. You know I hate to use people of color. You know I hate to use people of color. But brown people say their first ancestor was an African. Red people, their first ancestor was an African.
False. False. I think when he says red people, he's talking about the Asiatic Mongol-looking Native Americans. They do not say they come from Africans. Stop the cap. Stop it. Indians don't claim they come from Africans. Stop the cap. The Spaniards don't claim they come from Africans. Stop the cap. The Russians don't claim they come from Africans. Stop the cap.
Yellow people, their first ancestor was an African. But you mean to tell me the ones who look the most like the African, which is the American African, you look just like my Nigerian brothers and sisters. You look just like.
Yeah, guys. Those are some fighting words. This motherfucker just said we look Nigerian. Hey, guys, do I look Nigerian to you? I don't think none of y'all look Nigerian. Certified Sachi, homie, you don't look Nigerian. Hey, Bridget, sister, you don't look Nigerian. Hey, Junebug, you don't look Nigerian. Hey, Casey, you don't look Nigerian. Hey, Brandon, you got a bit of melanin there. You still don't look Nigerian. What the fuck is he talking about? We all look like Nigerians now? Don't make me actually pull up a photo of a Nigerian.
My Ghanaian brothers and sisters. You look just like my Congolese brothers and sisters, but yet you not from Africa. Lord have mercy. You know what we're going to do? We need some black geneticists. We got to need black geneticists out there. We're going to shut all this shit down. Where are the black? We need to have a black geneticist conference so we can shut down all this delusional, utopian, self-hating rhetoric. We need some black geneticists out here so we can shut down all this delusional, utopian, ridiculous nonsense. But here's my thing. If you don't want to be black, that's your right. I don't want to claim nobody who don't want to be claimed. All I'm saying, if you're going to mislead my people into re-identifying themselves as something other than their original birthright, can you please get some resources? Can you open up a dollar store? Can you open up a tire?
Can you finish the school that you've gotten millions of dollars to build over the last 13 years that is still abandoned? Can you finish the fucking school project before you try to talk about anybody else?
Repair shop for the pretendians? What are you going to do for them once they start calling themselves a pretendian? Do you have a hot dog stand? Do you sell water ice? Do you got some oranges and apples? Ninja? You damn intellectual masturbating pretendians. What do you have to offer our people? What do you have to offer our people? Can you make some damn hot dogs? Do you have a can of beans for the hungry homeless? This is what I want the pretendians to do. Go save all the homeless people. You want some pretendians? Go help all the black homeless people. Find them a house. There you go. They will all be a pretendant.
Can you go help the homeless people? And then they'll all be paying goofies like you. And they'll donate to your school scam.
Go and get the African homeless off the street and get them a house. There go your pretendians right there. You superficial identity Negroes. No services, no opportunities, no resources. And some of you black people are dumb enough. Some of you black people are dumb enough to think that by calling yourself a Native American, white people are going to treat you different. Some of you think if you walk into a bank and ask...
None of us Native Black Americans think that because we're Aboriginal, we get different treatment from white people.
For a bank loan and they say, what's your race? You're going to put Native American. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to reject your application.
No, sir. On my documentation, on our paperwork, we don't put Native American because that is not a designation on the census. We list ourselves as American Indian, but he wouldn't know the difference because he's an American African or whatever the fuck he just made up.
On the basis that you told a lie, fabrication of information on the application. I want you to go for a job interview and I want you to put down Cherokee Nation where it says race, and your ass is not going to get the job for fabrication of information on the application.
That is false, Umar Johnson. No job is going to reject our application because of what ethnicity we identify with. Actually, there's laws against that kind of workplace discrimination, but he wouldn't know. Mans is perpetually unemployed. He's been unemployed for the last decade.
Go ahead. Go to McDonald's. Well, McDonald's might hire you too, but go to Walmart, go to Home Depot for a job, and I want you to put down, I am a Choctaw Indian with your black ass. Tell them you are a Choctaw. My grandmother, I'm a Choctaw.
Oh my gosh, Mans is getting on my goddamn nerves. Guys, I said we would do an encore for another 30 minutes. We've reached the 30-minute mark. We've got a choice. And as always, I'll give you guys the luxury of choice. One of two options. Option A, we end this stream and get on into the next stream. The next stream is still roasting Umar's dumbass. The next stream is still roasting this imbecilic man. Oh yes, the next stream we still on Umar's ass. No Diddy, no Tariq. But option A is we end this stream and we go into the next stream about Umar. And the next stream about Umar has nothing to do with Aboriginal history or culture. The next stream on Umar is about a woman running up on him outside of the campus. That's what the next stream is. So option A, we end this broadcast, we get into the next Umar stream, or option B is we keep on going with his asinine comments about Aboriginal culture. If you guys want an encore on this broadcast, you know what to do. Throw 5 on the Cash App or the PayPal, and we'll stay on this subject. If not, we'll go ahead and get on into the next broadcast.
Put that on the job application, and you will not get hired for fabrication of information on the application. And you middle-class pretendians, y'all really gonna get in trouble. You a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or you gonna walk into a white
doctor, lawyer, engineer, that's not middle-class professions, Umar Johnson, but that just shows you don't know what you're talking about.
Firm and fill out a job application and tell them you're a Native American, they're gonna tell you you're psychotic. You're going to be diagnosed with a psychotic disorder, and they're going to take your ass to the emergency room at the hospital for psychiatric screening. Go ahead. Keep playing games with these white folks. Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep listening to these damn YouTubian pretendians. Go ahead and see what happens to your life. Tell your kids to go to back to school night. When your kids go to the Black History program, tell them to stand up and tell all they white classmates and white teachers, I'm not from Africa. I was already here. I am a Native American. And then the white folks are going to say, which reservation are you associated with? And you're going to say, North Philly, South Central, Baltimore, DC, Atlanta. have mercy. Lord have mercy. I can't take it, brothers and sisters.
Peep game, y'all. He's going on this tirade all because somebody called out his daddy, Marcus Garvey.
Listen, I love being in Africa. I can't believe 14 days, South Africa. I got to start packing. I can't wait to see. I ain't seen my South Africa family since 2016, y'all. Last time I did my national tour of South Africa, that's the same year Nate Parker came out with Birth of a Nation. October 2016. Last time I've been in South Africa. October 2016.
We don't care, sir. We don't care. Hey, the only time he goes to Africa is to make some money, y'all. The only time he's going to Africa is to get paid for a speaking engagement or to sell you guys an Africa tour. I mean, I don't know why he doesn't want to stay in Africa. He's such a proud African. He loves Africa so much. And good goddamn, I'm losing my train of thought. Good Lord, we got this Creole sister up on the screen. M.O. Rowe. God damn it. I'm getting into my Umar, y'all. We gotta stay focused, y'all. We must stay focused. Revolution over romance. The revolution will not be televised. Come on, y'all. Come on. You have to get your mind right, family. You have to get your mind right.
This is Nkrumah. This is Lumumba. This is Kamathi. This is
Yeah, hold up. I gotta run that back. I missed the key part. You know, Umar Johnson, he's always ranting about cookies, y'all. He's always ranting about cookies.
Politics over Punani. It is revolution over romance. Get your mind right, family. This is Garveyism. This is Nkrumah. This is
What the fuck is Garveyism? Can anybody riddle me that? What the hell is Garveyism? I've never heard of Garveyism. I mean, is that a word that these pangoofies made up? Okay, so if there's Garveyism, then there's what? Malcolm Xism and MLKism and Harriet Tubmanism. I mean, okay. And shout out to Julius Spencer. Thank you so much for the Cash App. I appreciate you sponsoring the broadcast. And it looks like most people have had enough of Umar Johnson. So we'll go ahead and segue into the next broadcast, y'all. Don't go anywhere. As soon as this stream ends, it will automatically redirect you into the next one. And the next broadcast is an interesting one, to say the least. Umar Johnson was doing his little thing where he makes videos in front of the abandoned school building and solicits donations. And a woman pulled up on him. And said, why this school ain't finished? I got a special needs son. I thought he'd be able to go to the school. And this school's still not built, Umar. It's still not built. Oh, yeah, let's get into it. Don't touch that dial. As soon as this stream ends, there will be a brief 10-second countdown, and the next one will begin automatically, and I will see you over there.